Whoa, what? It's already been 2 weeks? Man, I really didn't expect myself to make this kind of video. But as many of you Piggy players actually know, the TO quest, or the Chapter 12 hidden ending in Book 2, is regarded as the hardest quest in the entirety of Piggy. And for a very good reason, too. It throws many challenges at you by keeping Pony alive, doing a weird code in the lab chapter, even doing the savior ending. Man, I can't imagine doing this. But I've done this many times before, and a lot of people don't. They literally can't do it. So in this video, I will be explaining and giving my strategies and tips and tricks for getting the hidden ending. And I'll even give a step-by-step tutorial on how to get it if you haven't seen another video by now, which you probably have, because this ending has been out for 3 years now, and yet people still struggle with this ending, even with it being nerfed multiple times, especially recently. It got nerfed a whole lot. But enough with the long intro. Let's get into these strategies, tips and tricks, whatever you want to call them. Now, let's be honest, you're probably watching this video because, well, you're still struggling with this ending and you're in desperate need of help to beat this ending. So, let's go ahead and get into these tips and tricks. Our first step to actually getting this ending is going to the docks and keeping Pony alive. Now, in order to do this, you're probably going to need a player, either a friend or an alt account. Either work. Now, you can also do this in a public server, but I actually recommend a private server because there's going to be a lot of people in a private server that will end up ruining this for you. So doing this in a private server is definitely the way to go. And to complete this step, all you really have to do is escape the map, let Piggy be AFK, don't go near Piggy, and just escape the map with Pony on you. It's really simple. But before you actually do this step, I probably should have said this before, but you will need the savior ending on. If you do not have it on, it won't work. The code thing won't appear in Chapter 11, which is the next step, and you'll have to restart docks. Now, if you forget to put on the savior ending before you do docks, you'll have to redo the docks, because, like I said earlier, the code won't appear in the camp chapter. Now, if you're actually doing this with friends, everybody in your server will have to have the savior ending on, because if they don't have it on, then, like I said earlier, you'll have to redo every single step, and the code will not appear in the camp chapter. But really, that's all you have to do for the first step. It's honestly pretty simple, so before we move on to the second step, let's do a quick recap of everything you have to do for this step. Number 1, have the savior ending on for everybody in the server. Number 2, you'll need to keep Pony alive during this step, and do not let him get hit by the Piggy. Step 3, simply escape. Alright, so step 2 is a little bit easier than step 1. It definitely takes a lot less time. So, for this step, what you have to do is go to the camp chapter in Book 2, of course, and do this map on Swarm mode. And this is required. You cannot do any other game mode besides Swarm. So, what you actually have to do for this one, you don't have to escape the map or anything, but you need to get the blue key. The blue key can spawn in many different spots. It could either spawn in the house at spawn, it could either spawn up top, up on the mountain, it could be in the red room on top of the mountain as well, it could be even in the green room on top of the mountain, but it could be anywhere. So, what you do is you unlock the blue door, which is a little tower near spawn. You open that, there's going to be a code panel in there. What you want to do is you want to put in the code 467854. And then press the check mark, and then you should be done with that step. Now you can just oof, and we'll start step 3. So, for tips and tricks for this one, I don't really have any, besides maybe use your magnifying glass ability to search for the blue key in its many different spots. And, yeah, that's really all I have for this one. It's pretty simple, but not very many tips and tricks, because, well, it's pretty short. So, just a quick recap for step 2. Number 1, you have to grab the blue key and find it somewhere, and then open it up. Then for number 2, put in the code 467854 into the code panel in the blue door. And yeah, that's it. And then avoid the bots as much as possible. Alright, step number 3. The step that takes the longest, and it's the main reason why people can't actually do this. So, in order to do step 3, you have to go to lab. Huge shocker. Then you need to do this on bot mode. Yes, you have to do it on bot mode, or else this will not work. So, if you did everything correctly, you should see this little code panel in front of this door down the starting hallway. If you fail this code, you're done. You'll have to restart the lab section. So you have to do it right in one attempt, or, like I said, you are done. So, to actually get the code, you have to... The most important item for this step is the wrench. So, you want to play the map like normally. Open the red key card. You don't need the orange key card at all, but you need to find these 4 vents that are located on the walls. And there is one at the spawn area, like where you spawn exactly. And there's another one outside the yellow safe room. There's one outside the blue keycard room, and there's one actually inside the blue keycard room. Now, what you have to do, you're probably thinking, there's numbers behind these vents. But, like, what order do I do these in? The order that I just said. You have to put these in a specific order. Those being the one at spawn, the one outside the yellow safe room, and then the one outside the blue keycard room, and the one inside. Now, you're also probably thinking, there's numbers behind these. There's no numbers on the panel. Like, if I type, there's no numbers on there. Like, what do I do? This is where the tricky part comes in. What you have to do, there's actually a decipher that I will put on the screen right now. Now, each letter in these numbers actually correspond to one symbol. And basically, with these symbols, you have to spell out each of those numbers in the code. So, for an example, if the first vent had a 2 in it, you'd type in the corresponding letters. And then the next vent, you'd find that number, say it's 8, you type that in, and so on and so forth. Now, keep in mind, the code will be different for everybody. So, for an example, my first number was 2, which it really wasn't in the recording that I'm showing now, but for an example, it was 2. The first event for you is most likely not going to be 2, but it could be the same if you get lucky. So, once you enter those in, we get to the actual really, really hard part, which I will cut to in just a second. But before that, let's go over my tips and tricks for this one and my strategies for this step. So, I recommend using your abilities to your advantage, mainly camouflage, so, you know, the Umbra in the vent won't see you as you're going through there. It's very possible to die when you're going through there if you go too fast. Also, using the camouflage ability will make putting in the code a lot easier, so Piggy won't actually see you as you're doing that, and you won't have to, take breaks in between each, letter, each letter. And just use all your abilities to your advantage here. It doesn't just have to be camouflage, it could be any of them, but I mainly say camouflage because it helped me a lot. So, before we move on to the last and very final step, I will go over what you have to do for this step. Number 1. Open up everything up until you get the wrench. Open up all 4 vents and decipher all the numbers and put them into the code and activate the cutscene. Easier said than done. Here we are at the final step of this godforsaken ending badge thing. So for this, there's like a little puzzle run here. You have to do all the previous puzzles from each of the chapters. Besides 12, you only have to do the code puzzle from Alleys. The ship puzzle from the ship chapter. The little dial puzzle from the docks. The little wheel puzzle thingy from the temple, and the button puzzle from the camp chapter. Now, doing these is pretty simple, except you might fumble on the ship puzzle because it doesn't really make any sense. Now, there's going to be 2 buttons on each side, and there's an arrow. Now, you want to start on the left. You want to start with the one that's closest to you on the left. Start with that color, then move to the one that's the next one on that wall. Then go over to the far side of the right wall and go with that one, and then go to the one that's closest to you on the right. And then you should know how to do the other ones. So after that, you'll be put into the Insolence Castle with the man himself, Tio. Now, for this first part, what you want to do is you want to find the 3 items. There's going to be Pony's sword in Zizzy's room, the baseball bat in the city area with Pony, and the sword in the room with the house area with George. Then this epic music will start playing. Now what you need to do, the upstairs has been unlocked. So now what you need to do is you want to use those items, the bone, the grass, and the carrot. You want to go upstairs and give those to each of the characters. So the bone goes to Doggy. He's in the gallery area. You want to give the grass to Zizzy, which is in the mall area, and the carrot for Bunny, which is in the hospital area. Now, once you give one of the characters an item, they'll start running after Tio. Now, in my run here, Tio kept getting stuck on these stairs, which made it a little bit easier for me. But I'm sure that'll be patched pretty soon, because it's happened to me a lot more recently. And once all of the characters have hit Tio, you should get the ending. And also, as you see in this footage here, there are 2 sentinels that tried to get you. There's one that is just plain black with no glow, and there's one with a white glow to it. Now you really want to watch out for the shadow one, because that one will really screw you up. So what I recommend is turning your graphics to low in the settings so you can see a lot better. But in my case, I played this on high graphics, so it's a lot more dark. Also, you want to watch out for the barely visible traps that are upstairs. They're purple and they keep you stuck for a pretty long time. So you really don't want to step in those, or else you are probably going to die. And yeah, that's honestly it. There's really nothing else to it. It's pretty easy for me, but it's gonna be really hard for you, I guess, if you're not good at the game. So yeah, that concludes this video. It's been fun making this video. But before I go, I'd like to open up a little thing. If you need help with TO, I'll be happy to help you. All you need to do is look for the pinned comment and enter your display name and your username and add me, and I will accept your friend request and we can do this. So yeah, if you need help, I'll be happy to help you. And yeah, have a nice day, everybody.